like to call the Planning and Zoning meeting to order. The meeting of January 19th, 2023. Please rise for the invocation and the pledge to the flag. Dear Lord, we ask for guidance today as we handle the business for the city of Leesburg. The decisions we make, we pray, are pleasing in your sight. Pray this in thy most holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, fellow commissioners and staff, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And here we go. We got another year ahead of us. Thank you all for coming and being here to participate. Dan, if you'll explain to the folks how we do business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to welcome everyone to the January 19, 2023 City of Leesburg Planning Commission meeting. My name is Dan Miller, Planning and Zoning Director with the City of Leesburg. Today I have with me Sabrina Mitchell, Administrative Assistant, sitting to my left, Senior Planners Christine Rock and Diane Yeckel, and Planners Max Van Allen and Melissa Metters. Today's meeting has an agenda which is available on the table out by the door. If you wish to speak on a case, we ask you to sign the speaker's registry and turn it into Sabrina, who is sitting to my left. Under the rules of participation, the meeting is conducted under the following process. The chairman will announce the case, then staff will read a list of exhibits, which includes maps, photos, and text into the record, and present this on the screens. Staff will then read a recommendation into the record, and the applicant will have the opportunity to speak about their request. The chairman will allow time for public comment. The applicant will have an opportunity for rebuttal. The chairman will close the case to the public, and the commission will discuss the case. A vote will be taken, and then the commission will move on to the next case. The Planning Commission is a citizen board appointed by the City Commission that is charged with two major responsibilities. One is to make final decisions on cases such as variances, conditional uses, and minor amendments. The second is to make recommendations for issues to be heard by the City Commission. Today, on the Planning Commission agenda, there will be a final decision on the first case, which is the minor modification on the Lake Denham property, and they will make a recommendation on the other two subjects, the crossings at 44 and Fort Knox Rogers, which are small-scale comp plan and PUD zoning cases. These recommendations will then be forwarded to the City Commission for a final decision. For the cases that are being heard by the City Commission, which shows on your agenda, we ask you to note the tentative dates for those hearings, which are listed on the agenda. These dates are subject to be changed to earlier or later dates, depending on what's available on the agenda. So please do check with us at the Planning Department or the City Clerk's office regarding those final hearing dates. Finally, on behalf of the City of Leesburg Planning Commission and the planning staff, we would like to thank you for your participation in today's public hearing process. Mr. Chairman, we're ready to be sworn in and the other items that need to be done.
Okay, before you, you have the minutes of the December 15th summary of minutes. Approval, I need approval of that, a motion for approval of the minutes.
I make a motion.
Additions or corrections?
I make a motion to approve the minutes, December 15th.
I have a motion to approve as submitted. Second, please.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Anybody that would want to speak to an item that's on the agenda today, we're going to have to swear you in. So, Sabrina, if you would please, those that want to voice their opinion, please stand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Did I hear plenty of I do's?
I
Not in the back. They just stood there.
Okay. I've got you cussed in now, so you're in trouble. Without any further ado, we'll introduce public hearing case PUD 22560, Lake Denham Estates, planned unit development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For PUD case 22-560, Lake Denham Estates, Tract F1 Plan Unit Development, minor modification. By way of background, this is a proposal to modify the Lake Denham Estates Tract F1, which is the parcel directly adjacent to US Highway 27 and Armoyan Boulevard. And that's seen right up here. And there's 27, there's Armoyan, so it's this small area here. Per section 25278, a minor modification to a plan unit development may be reviewed by the Planning Commission with either a disapproval or a resolution approving this request. A change in the uses which can reduce impacts such as traffic or intensity is considered a minor modification. The F1 tract is currently zoned for commercial uses as approved under the current zoning ordinance, which was adopted under Ordinance 17-34. The specific request is to change the permitted uses to Tract F1 to allow the developer to do either commercial uses, which is what is permitted under the current PUD zoning, or change that to townhouses, or do a mix of commercial uses on the ground floor and upstairs residential uses. From this standpoint, staff sees the potential reduction of the commercial uses, thus creating an option here as a way to reduce traffic and the number of lights, the amount of lighting needed to properly light commercial uses, which would positively impact the area. Thus, if you vote to deny the request, the developer must do commercial development on the tract if they develop it. If you vote to approve this request, a resolution of the Planning Commission would be written to allow this modification. Overall, this is 3.45 plus or minus acres, and again, it would allow the option of 33 total units that would remain within the density levels as approved by the existing PUD, or the 35,000, I believe it's 35,000 square feet of commercial development that is also currently within. So essentially what you're doing is allowing them to make a choice between having to do commercial or having the option to do commercial or residential. That's all it is. All other requirements of the original PUD zoning will remain in effect. On pages 1, 2, and 3, I believe, of that PUD, I believe that's highlighted. Is that highlighted, Max? So you can see where staff did make those changes. And Ms. Max Van Allen, planner with the department, is going to present the maps and photos, which include the floods, the aerial, the zoning, future land use, surrounding land use, wetlands, flood zone maps, and CRA maps.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. So starting with the aerial map, we show the subject property south of Armoyan Boulevard and west of US Highway 27. City of Leesburg zoning is currently PUD. Lake County zoning surrounding the area is R6, C1, C2, RM, RM, RP, and A. The proposed zoning would be PUD with the minor modification. On to the City of Leesburg future land use would be general commercial. For Lake County future land use surrounding, this includes urban low density and urban medium density. The commission district will be 2. It is in the 27441 CRA. There is a recorded flood zone to the southwest of the property, as shown on the map, and also wetlands in roughly the same portion of the property, also shown here. Surrounding uses include residential to the north, undeveloped to the east, south, and west, and Lake Denham Estates to the far west off this map. Signs were posted on January 6th, as seen here, looking east on US 27, looking east towards US 27 from inside Lake Denham Estates, looking into Lake Denham Estates from US 27, looking north on US 27, looking northwest towards Ravenwood Community and US 27, and looking onto the property from Ermoyan Boulevard, looking south on US 27, and looking west into Lake Denham on Ermoyan Boulevard, and finally a sign on US 27. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. With that, we move to the departmental review summary. This proposal for this project was sent to all the city departments plus the Lake County government and the school board. There were no substantive comments from the departments. If this is approved, the project would be subject to working with the Lake County School Board to meet school concurrency requirements because the residential is not allowed right now on this one track. So if residential is approved, they still have to go to the school board and work with them to be sure there are enough student stations. And there are ways that the school board works with developers to ensure that. Let's see, per the notice requirements of the city of Leesburg, the project was sent out to the surrounding property owners. That's within 200 feet. We did receive several phone calls. We did not receive office visits or written responses in response to the posted signs and newspaper ad. Due to the holiday on Monday, and this goes for all the cases on today's agenda, Mr. Chairman, and staff was in a conference yesterday and today a local conference. If we didn't get back to everyone on Tuesday, which was the only day we were in the office, I want to be sure that anyone who needs to ask a question here has that opportunity. I know they will be, but I wanted to make sure that everyone knew we weren't ignoring the calls. We have been out of the office. And then I'd like to go ahead and read the recommendation into the record for PUD 22-560. The Planning and Zoning Division is recommending approval of this request for the following reasons. One, the proposed request is compatible with the current surrounding zoning districts of City of Leesburg Plan Unit Development, Community Commercial, Highway Commercial, and with Lake County Urban Residential. Two, the proposed modification of the PUD Plan Unit Development zoning is compatible with the existing future land use designation of general commercial. And three, the proposed request does not appear to create a detriment to the surrounding properties based on the location and proximity to compatible development. Therefore, the action requested is to vote to approve staff's recommendation to rezone the subject property from City of Leesburg PUD to City of Leesburg PUD with the amended conditions to allow for attached single-family units and the mixed use if the market drives that direction. So as you can see on the remainder of the pages, we did, now it's not shown in this one, but we did have a couple of highlights under the background. That was changed to show you what we were talking about in terms of the 33 residential units, the 3.45 acres. And then the ownership changed to Palm Land Holdings. And then under the next page, on page 2 at the bottom, there's a description of tract F1 and the 33 residential units out of the 600 that were permitted, and a description of the 3.45 acre use for a single family. And that's really, and then on the next page over at the top of the page under B, where we added a maximum of 35,000 square feet of commercial and office use. So what this does is allows the developer to respond to the market. This zoning's been in place for several years, and in terms of commercial, nothing has happened. We've had extensive discussions with the applicants, and so staff is comfortable recommending approval on this. I would like to note there are people in the audience that I've talked to that wanted to speak tonight, and then also Ms. Amber Coleman, who is the corporate counsel for GeoSam Corporation, is here to speak on this issue as well. So, Mr. Chairman, staff is recommending approval.
Thank you. We have somebody in the audience that wants to speak on this. Ms. Barbara, I can't read the last name, I'm sorry.
No, it's our number 2.
I think the attorney wants to speak first. Can you read that?
Thank you.
Is the attorney going to speak?
Yeah.
Ms. Barbara I'm sorry. I
The
can't-
attorney speaks first
All right.
as the applicant.
We'll let the applicant. Yes, please. Thank you, Tim.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Amber Coleman. I am corporate counsel for the applicant. I don't want to be redundant, so I won't go into detail as much as Max and Dan did, but we're requesting just to add this residential allowance in the approximately 3 acres on the east side of the PUD along US Highway 27. The maximum density that would be allowable would be the 33 townhome units, and this would max out the density in the PUD, which is 600, and the remaining density is on the west side of the PUD, where there's single-family detached residential back there. Considering the compatibility component of this request, residential use in this area would be compatible with the surrounding neighborhoods. There's not a lot of commercial over here. I know there's some on the west side of US Highway 27. Down the way, there's a restaurant and a storage unit facility. Per the existing PUD ordinance, the allowable commercial uses in the area, in this tract F1 area, shall be those uses described in C2 Community Commercial Zoning District. While the PUD as it exists doesn't specifically allow residential use in this area, the C2 zoning district does permit this single-family attached residential use, so it would be consistent with even the city's code. So the marketability, we believe that should we be limited to a commercial use in this area, that the current market doesn't support anything more than maybe lower-end retail options, such as a Dollar General or something like that. We feel that a residential use, and especially with its limited density, would be much better use for the area. Residential use would also generate less traffic, and this is probably of particular importance to the surrounding neighborhoods, especially given that all vehicular access to Lake Denham Estates is via Armoyan Boulevard. So whether it be residential or commercial, the access would be through that road. And also, just to note, there's a conceptual plan for this Tract F already that we've been working with the planning staff. So, right, and while it's conceptual, if we're able to move forward with residential option today upon your approval, hopefully, this is our current plan for the area. And we will be moving forward with submitting our site plan application in the near future, should this be approved.
Okay. Does the commission have any questions of Ms. Amber? No questions? Any questions of staff? Okay. We got people in the audience that want to speak to this issue. Again, I can't pronounce the last name. Barbara, that lives on 1038 Forest Breeze Path.
Yeah, that would be me, but didn't I put down case number 569?
She's for a different case.
It's also labeled as number 5.
Okay, she's speaking to this one, around 530.
Around 560.
560. Thank you, ma'am, for correcting me. Ms. Charlotte Rowland?
It's another 569.
Yes.
Hello, I live in Ravenswood, and the issue that I'd like to address is the amount of traffic that already comes out of this neighborhood in the mornings is atrocious. I have complained to city commissioners. I have complained to the sheriff's department now. I have complained to the chief of police. No one will help us. I want y'all to know how unsafe it is for children to get on the bus here. The speed to which these people come out of this neighborhood is unbelievable. My 16-year-old daughter has already been in a car accident exiting the neighborhood. My niece, even this morning, was almost hit because people don't know how to abide by your stop sign. There's no speed bumps to slow them down. There is nothing. And if you want to add more houses right here, you can't control what's already there. You can't control the speed that these people come in and out of this neighborhood. I can't safely leave my neighborhood any time of day without being almost hit. And I'm saying that if you add more to this, something's got to be done. There has got to be something for the people who are here first to protect us before someone gets killed. My husband and I were leaving our neighborhood this weekend. Young couple blew right past that stop sign, had to have been doing maybe 30 at that point. And the stop sign at Armoyan and the stop sign at 27, there's maybe 50 feet. Doesn't matter, doesn't slow them down. They don't care. And I'm asking that if y'all are gonna do this, do something to protect people and protect our kids and give these kids somewhere safe to stand to wait for the school bus. Because our school bus stops and blocks that road, blocks Armoyan, pulls right up to it. They have to cross the road to get on.
Okay.
I walk my niece every day and stand in the middle of the road. I scream at those residents. Can't you see these kids loading the bus? Don't you see them standing there? Stop moving your cars. It doesn't faze them.
Yes, ma'am. You've made your point. And you've made it very well.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Dan.
Could staff make a recommendation that we work with the school board and Ms. Coleman and perhaps get some type of school bus shelter? And it's a school board decision, but we'd be respectfully, if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
based on what Ms. Charlotte has said, and I've seen it, I go by it quite a bit. They do speed down our morning, that is true. I'm not there as much, obviously, but she makes a good point. We could work with the school board and see about getting some form of bus shelter placed there. It's
Okay.
probably be at your expense, but these are not massively expensive, but something that the kids can gather around and know that that's where they're supposed to be. And if I may, if you choose to approve this, if a motion could be to allow us to work with the school board. I can't guarantee the results, but if
Kids run both sides of the road.
I think if GeoSam would look at the possibility of building some type of shelter, and I'm sure the school board has samples that they use, that might go a long way, because the kids will normally crowd around that space. And I agree respectfully, if I may, that with what Ms. Charlotte has said, that there is a concern here. And that's just based on, I know Diane goes out there a lot for inspections. I go out there. People do speed up and down that road. It's one thing we could do, if I may make that recommendation, sir.
Of course. Of course.
I would suggest we do that whether this is approved or not, because it's a concern immediately, apparently. Should not be decisive upon the outcome of this vote.
That's a good idea.
I agree with that as well, Commissioner. Oh, Kelly. Any other questions? Yes.
I agree with you, Dan, 100% with the sheltered school bus thing. Is it possible, since they speed, that's really not going to slow them down, but in a school zone, you got a flashing yellow light, maybe a half a block before, is it possible to put a flashing yellow light just during that time?
May I say something? They have a flashing stop sign, and it does nothing.
There is a flashing. The stop sign has a LED or something around it that does flash.
What I would encourage was a little more police surveillance in that area, and to let them know that you're going to speed through there, you're going to get a ticket, and it's going to cost you $150.
We can.
But this commission can complain as well.
Unfortunately, that's become a bad thing at almost every stop sign. I was behind a truck today, and within a half a block, they ran a stop sign and a red light. Same truck. That was one vehicle.
They need like a speed table or speed bumps.
Yeah.
Something to slow them down.
That I was good. Yeah, and the city has control of that because it's a city street.
I was told that it was an HOA issue by the chief of police.
Yes, sir.
I have an email to prove it.
Yes, sir. Please come to the microphone and introduce yourself. And
hello, my name is Harry Newkirk. I'm with Newkirk Engineering. I'm the engineer of record for this project. The site plan right now that we've shown to the city proposes a bus turnaround. So when you come down the main drive off of 27, right now the right-of-way is not even big enough to do a U-turn. So we designed conceptually, but it is what will happen, is the driveway set up so the bus can do a U-turn. And then we had in there right now 3 6-foot benches, which is 18 spaces to sit right there, that area right there. And we can make it a shelter. I do a lot of Votran and bus shelter type deals, so we can make it so they can sit there if it starts raining, and trash can there, that sort of stuff. But that area is already set up to do that. And what y'all are talking about now is how to get across the street. We can look at traffic calming there. What we do a lot of is what I'd call a tabletop intersection, where you make the sidewalk flush from both sides, and we ramp it up, and you put signs ahead of it, letting the residents know this is coming. And once you drive over it once, you're not going to hit that at 40 miles an hour. It's designed so it's not so dramatic like a speed bump, but it promotes walking across, and you can see it because you can color it, and it's very clear to a driver that this is a crosswalk as you're going down the drive there. So we could do that too to get, and we want this development to be safe for the residents. You never want to be involved with an accident, someone getting really hurt within any development within the city. And those are type of measures if it goes forward, we can add to the plans for safety, because I want to design it as safe as possible. The other thing is the site will have a 25-foot trail across the front for a 12-foot sidewalk, as would get constructed, and as the area develops, that can be extended north and south to promote that mobility along 27, where it's not just walking, it's golf carts or whatever that's coming down the roadway. And the other thing I'd like to just say is traffic. It always comes up where you're looking on a land use change going to residential versus commercial. Well, the commercial is 35,000. That's the max you can put on there, versus 33 townhomes. What are we looking at there? Well, the commercial is about 1,500 daily trips. It's a lot of traffic. We already hear the residents concerned of the traffic, and the townhome's only 192. We're talking a difference of 1,300 daily trips of traffic if we go to residential here. For the AM peak, which is 7 in the morning to 9, we're talking 20 trips. That's when the kids are going to the buses. And for PM, it's a reduction of 113 trips going out on Highway 27. So I think, if it developed out as townhomes, which townhomes actually has less traffic than a single family, for just to add that note, this would help that intersection, because the driveway is going to be the main drive. DOT is not going to allow another driveway because you don't meet separation, and that causes a whole nother situation of traffic issues that on a high-speed roadway. So just thought I'd bring that up also, so.
What do you
Yeah.
call the construction across the extended
It's
sidewalk?
called it's a tabletop, they call it.
Okay.
But it's really good at
Well, I
traffic
understand.
calming.
I just that's
It's
for
re-
the,
it's-
for
we do it a lot.
for the motion. you know.
Yes, tabletop, yeah. You see it in a lot of,
With the tabletop, because we have children coming out of the other neighborhood, will there be a sidewalk built from Ravenswood down to this tabletop? Or are they expected to walk in grass or on the road?
Can you point out where the tabletop would be?
we're talking right here.
Okay.
That
Okay,
area.
so they would, but then that doesn't do anything to slow them down prior to that stop sign.
Well, what would end up happening is when you do this, you got to put multiple signs going to the west, so you know this is coming up. You don't want it to be a shock. So there's multiple signs talking about this speed bump, as you call it.
Right.
And we could put the pedestrian. So right now you have a stop sign. We'll actually be adding the pedestrian signs on both sides, so the drivers see that. And you could flash it. That's done. Mid-block kind of crossings to flash. So hey, you're supposed to stop when you see this flashing, and it flashes at certain times of the day. So those things can be added on there to make it a lot safer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. You have some, Dan?
Just when this first came up, we were a little bit reluctant, and then after we looked at the numbers in terms of reduction in traffic from what would be there, and the reduction in the amount of lighting that would be required would be significant. So, and with if GSM and Mr. Newkirk are willing to throw up shelter and the tabletop and signage, I think we've got a reasonable move here.
I think it's the best of both worlds, versus commercial versus residential, for sure. Any other questions from the commission?
One comment, I'm going to, by the advice of the city attorney, abstain from voting because I'm a partial owner of the property adjoining to the south.
Please note. All right. I think we beat this subject up pretty good. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve PUD 22560 with the changes of the tabletop, the signage, and the shelter, bus shelter.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a second to that motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Same sign. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much for your input. I think you've made a difference.
I hope so.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Small scale comp plan, SSCP 22569. This is what they're here for.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Carry on.
I have two cases, SSCP 22569, the crossings at 44, small scale comp plan, and PUD 22-570, the crossings at 44, their PUD zoning. Respectfully, I'd like to request to talk about these as one.
Please.
And the vote be taken separately. These are requests for a planned unit development zoning and a small-scale comp plan for property located on the south side of State Road 44 West and west of Whitney Road near the Sumter County line. Property is owned by Charles and Linda Sellers. The request is to change the future land use designation from Lake County Rural to City of Leesburg General Commercial. And they're also requesting a zoning change from Lake County Agriculture to City of Leesburg Plan Unit Development. This is a mixed use on 34.7 acres, which would consist of 46,000, I believe, square feet of commercial uses, 280 multifamily residential units, and then some medical uses, 150 rooms for assisted living, memory, and nursing care, and 240 beds, physical rehabilitation, recovery, skilled nursing center. Within the PUD, beyond that, it's pretty standard. There are design and architectural standards, dark sky lighting requirements, which is one of the new requirements that we've been using the past year or so for shielding and directing light inward. There are landscape and buffer requirements, including a 25-foot landscape buffer around the entire property, 35% open space, irrigation controls, using water-wise, Florida-friendly landscaping, no St. Augustine grass, which is a water hog, but the ability to use Bermuda Bahia, zoysia, those kinds of uses. And Melissa Metters, planner at the office, will present the maps and photo exhibits at this time. That will include aerial zoning, future land use, surrounding land use, wetlands, flood zone maps, and CRA maps.
Good evening. As you can see, the aerial is, the property is south of State Road 44, and to the west over here, that is east of Sumter Line Road, which is right
Sorry,
here.
we can't hear him now.
Sorry.
Really bad.
Sorry. So yeah, that's Sumter Line Road, and that's State Road 44. The zoning for this property is not in the city. It's in the county, so it does not show.
You're going to have to speak in the microphone. I'm sorry. Honey.
Sorry.
Get right up to it.
Right up to it. Okay. Next slide. Lake County zoning shows that it is agricultural. The proposed zoning shows that it is for within the city is a planned unit development. The future land use shows that the property will be general commercial. That's to the east. It doesn't show it as within, since it's not within the city yet. Lake County future land use shows that it is rural with a regional office to the east, rural to the south and west, and rural transition to the north. And there's urban low density up in the northeast as well. The proposed future land use for this is within the city shows as general commercial. The commission district is 2. The community redevelopment area, it does not, the closest one is Carver Heights, which is up here, but it's not within one.
Speak up. Use your diaphragm.
Sorry. The flood zone is Zone A in parts of the northeast, northwest, and along the border. The wetlands kind of fall with that. It's almost like right in the middle.
I'm going to have to interrupt one more time. You're going to have to speak louder.
Sorry.
Yeah, you keep,
You're gonna have,
you
we
keep
can't
drifting
hear you.
off over
Sorry.
and over. I can hear you, but I'm sure the people in the back can't, and Ted can't.
You need to talk louder.
The wetlands shows that it is shallow marsh. And these are for the sign postings. The top one shows looking north along State Road 44. The bottom is looking east along State Road 44. And that shows the sign looking onto the property on the top. On the bottom, it's looking west along State Road 44. And that is all, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Melissa. Moving on to the departmental review summary, the project was sent out to all the city departments in Lake County, School Board and Public Works. There were no substantive comments came back from the departments. The multi-family portion of this project would have to meet the Lake County School Board requirements for concurrency. Under public responses, the project was sent out to the surrounding property owners, and as you saw, the zoning sign and the newspaper advertisement. We did receive several phone calls in response to the posted signs who were asking about the meeting. I believe there are some folks here who would like to speak as well today. I'd like to go ahead and read the recommendations into the record. Mr. Chairman, for case number SSCP 22569, which is the small-scale comp plan amendment. Planning and Zoning Division is recommending approval of this request for the following reasons. One, the project meets the requirements of Chapter 163.3187 of the Florida statutes for small-scale comp plan amendments. Two, the proposed request for the small-scale comp plan amendment as conditioned in the city of Leesburg is compatible with the adjacent future land use designations of Lake County Rural Transition and Lake County Regional Office. The proposed request under number 3 as conditioned in case number under PUD 22570 is compatible with the current surrounding zoning districts of Lake County Agriculture, Planned Unit Development, Planned Commercial, and Planned Industrial. And 4, the proposed future land use designation for the site is consistent with the city's growth management plan, future land use element, Goal 1, Objective 1.6. The action requested is vote to approve staff's recommendation to change the future land use of the subject property from Lake County Rural Transition to the City of Leesburg General Commercial and forward the recommendation to the City Commission for their consideration. That is the recommendation for the small-scale comp plan. Under the recommendation for the PUD zoning, that would be PUD 22-570 as the case number. The Planning and Zoning Division is recommending approval of this request for the following reasons. One, the proposed request for a PUD zoning as conditioned is compatible with the current surrounding zoning districts of Lake County Agriculture, PUD, Planned Commercial, and Planned Industrial. Two, the proposed plan unit development under the proposed PUD conditions for this property. The proposed future land use designation of City of Leesburg General Commercial is compatible with the adjacent properties which have future land use designations with Lake County under Rural Transition and Lake County Regional Office. And 3, the site is located along a major growth corridor and near existing city utilities, which are available at State Road 44. And 4, the proposed zoning designation for the site is consistent with the city's growth management plan, future land use element, Goal 1, Objective 1.6. The action requested is to vote to approve the proposed rezoning from Lake County A Agriculture to City of Leesburg Planned Unit Development and forward the recommendation to the City Commission for their consideration. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ryan Solsis of Land Planning Group of Mount Dora is here to answer any questions you may have. And
yes, could we move that tripod over there facing the crowd? Because we have a copy on here, and I like seeing the crowd, so it's like blocking. Plus, it gives them an opportunity to see it too. A little better. Thank you. Well, you're still blocking, yeah.
Yeah,
Go,
we can
go off to the side and just face it perpendicular. Thank you.
Brian Solstice, AICP, here with LPG Urban and Regional Planners. I'm here representing the applicant. This is a request to do a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment to general commercial. We chose general commercial because it's the most comprehensive. It allows some of the most uses, and as you can see, this is a very mixed-use project. We have both multifamily, skilled nursing, rehabilitative, as well as a commercial portion on the front. At this time, I'll entertain any questions that the commission has or the general public in general, and thank you for having me.
You bet.
so, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
The northern portion along Highway 27 is designed for commercial uses, which would be consistent with our typical C3 highway commercial zoning. The central area, these 3 large buildings here, would be the physical rehabilitation, the nursing, the memory care, assisted living. The multifamily use is down here on the south side. And then along in here, they have proposed a little dog park and children's recreational area. There's residential to the north, there's agricultural back here, and the village is right here. And what staff sees happening from looking at this plan is the commercial use, anyone can go there. These folks are probably going to work over here. in the villages or in Leesburg. These folks are going to be coming from the villages and from Pembroke. It allows, and the good thing about this type of location on a use like this is that if I live across the road or in the villages, I just move over to here. Age does that. And I live over here, and my friends and family can still come see me and not have to make a trip to Ocala or Orlando or something like that. So just wanted to make that design, because it's a little bit hard to see. It's a little bit hard for us to get it on these maps so people can see it very well. That's the idea behind it, as staff saw it. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, Ryan, on that, but I wanted to be sure that that was out so everyone could see the
No, he just owes you
design.
dinner.
He'll. I'm sure he's got me.
Okay. Does the commission have any questions? You know, this down below the lower part, could be for a spouse as well, you know, that their wife or husband is in memory care and they want to be close. And so there's just a lot of things that I like about this. But we do have people that want to speak on it. And Barbara, I'm going to call you again, but I'm calling you at the right time this time.
Makes more sense now, doesn't it?
Well, tell them how to say your last name. I think I did.
Please identify yourself for the
Barbara
record.
Chalupka, 1038 Forest Breeze Path in Pembroke Fairways.
Thank you.
Which is directly across from this development. I have a few concerns. I've learned to have more since I've been here. My main concern that when I came was, and obviously they're planning driveways right across from our driveway. Now currently, even though we begged you people for a stoplight, we don't have one. So when we come out of Pembroke Fairways, we have to turn right, quickly get over in the left-hand lane amongst people who are traveling 60 miles an hour in a 55 and do a U-ey. I don't want to have to do that if we've got extra people with children and daycare drop-offs and commercial and retail and everything else, supply trucks for the nursing homes coming down that road, going the direction I need to turn onto. So I want a stoplight at the end of Pembroke Fairways driveway, get rid of the divider, shoot right through to the left. Now, the other thing I want to know is, if you guys approve the zoning change is, let's say they pull out. For whatever reason, doesn't matter, they decide, no, we don't want to do it. But you've already changed the zoning. And you went from nice rural to daycares and 46,000 feet of commercial space. So I'm a little concerned that they could back out. Do you have any guarantees that they won't?
Dan, do you want to address that?
He won't.
Or he can.
You got any money on the line? Any skin in this game?
No, just my client.
Well, you do represent
Let's
him.
keep it civil.
Yes.
If I can speak at the mic.
Oh, sure.
To address your concern. So the reason our access point lines up with yours is because that's a requirement of FDOT for that connectivity.
Okay, let him speak.
As far as the changes, so when a PUD comes forward, it's a change to the zoning and we're amending the comprehensive plan. If the client decided that it was not feasible, the land would remain the same unless he came to the city, applied for a site plan permit, and began construction. So if he decides that it's not feasible to construct, the zoning change actually does not do anything to the physical property until the applicant comes in and gets those construction permits and so forth. So if for some reason the market sours, the client's unable to do this project, at that point, it would have a PUD, and in the language, the PUD generally expires after 10 years. So if someone else bought the property, the uses that have been entitled now would remain, so they'd be allowed to construct those types of uses. However, if they wanted to change any component of it besides a minor, which, as Dan alluded in the last one, has to be some sort of reduction, they would have to go through the entire public hearing process again.
All right.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
You have to come to the microphone, ma'am.
Yeah. So 46,000 square feet of commercial. What kind of commercial would that be? Does that include doctor's offices?
Yes.
And retail, like boutiques?
Yes, ma'am.
Resale stores?
No thrift stores. I think
No
that
thrift
was
stores?
taken out
Yeah.
Okay.
in the permitted, in the prohibited uses. If I may
Yes, go ahead.
follow up on that, Ms. Barbara. So in that would be retail, restaurant, pharmacies, medical, urgent care, veterinary, pet care, professional offices, coffee shops, daycare, houses of worship, fitness centers, personal services, and that goes back to beauty salons, spas, things like that. That's what would be permitted in there.
Would that be like a strip? Or a strip mall or individuals? Probably a strip mall.
It's, by definition, it's strip commercial. Anything that parallel to the road is strip commercial. Yes.
Okay. 280 multifamily units. Do we have a height limit in Leesburg?
On this particular zoning, it'd be 3 stories.
And these are purchase or rentals?
The multifamily would be rentals. Yes.
All right, if there's no other
Yes, that's it.
questions, I have other people that'd like to speak on this. And I will say this, if you bring up something new that hasn't already been discussed, we'd be glad to hear it. But if it's just more of the same, we're being repetitious. So, Miss Elizabeth Reed, state your name and your address and where you live, ma'am.
I think my address will tell you. I am Elizabeth Reed. I live at 432 Glen Arbor Lane, which is directly across the street.
We just needed you to say it on the record, ma'am.
Pembroke. Which brings me to my question. There was a part in what you read about lighting. I have 2 lighting questions because with the commercial muckled up onto 44 as it is, that's going to shine right into my bedroom unless it's shielded in some form. Well, if you look around, the new trend in lighting is high lumens for security. And these people are going to want nighttime security. They're going to want to be able to cancel the shadows to keep thieves and such like out of their spaces, particularly if there are empty buildings. And we still have Lake Deaton, which is being built out by the villages, which is empty.
It has to be designed to keep the light on the property itself.
On the property.
Yes.
That's a godsend. The other thing is signage lighting. If you go down 44, and I've been looking, so you've got these nice sedate signs, and then you've got Massey's bugs hanging up there. Is there some way to keep the neon down to
Those are.
I mean, neon's beautiful, done right. But
Give us a chance to answer, ma'am.
No, thank you for those questions, Ms. Reed. I'll read from the architectural standards that's in the zoning document.
And then translate?
Yes, ma'am. The permittee, meaning Ryan's group, Ryan's client, shall utilize dark sky lighting principles when selecting lighting fixtures for all street lighting. Such lighting shall achieve the overall effect of containing and shielding excessive light pollution from adjacent properties. Appropriate designs are shown on Exhibit E attached here too. I don't know if you can find Exhibit E in there. What we did, and this has been going on for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I'm not sure it's been 2 years. All these zonings that come before this board, before this commission, and before the city commission are required to have this particular wording that I just read. There's a large movement out there called the dark sky, and I don't know exactly the name of websites or anything, but it's the dark sky lighting. And what Leesburg has done is adopted the idea of dark sky lighting so that when there's new residential or commercial development, if you look up there, the ones that are on the, I believe it's on the right side.
It's the same as this one.
Yes.
It's the same as this.
Thank you. The ones on the right side of the screen are what are considered acceptable lighting features because they shield the light and direct it, and you can turn that lighting to direct it inward rather than spilling out all over the place like standard lighting that's been used for decades and decades. So the city has become sensitive to that, and we require that in all of these zonings.
That's where they get the dark sky, because it doesn't go out.
Because if you go down 33 at night and you go past Vermeer, it's brighter than day glow.
Right.
And, if you're a doctor's office, if you're in urgent care, you have drugs and things, or you might have drugs or things on premises.
And then
it's an attractive nuisance.
Yes, ma'am. And then to the lighting for the signage, there are specific signage requirements also written within this document that allow one 20-foot high monument style sign, not a pole with a sign on the top, but a monument. Some communities call them tombstone signs. We prefer to use the word monument. But basically it's a solid base with the signage having a maximum allowed square footage. And so in this case, they would be allowed a 20-foot monument-style sign out front. That's one. And then they could also have like brick walls, 4 or 5 foot tall walls, so that when you turn in, it gives you also the name of the development. And I don't know the exact name other than Crossings at 44, which is probably what it'll end up being called. Yep. That's the working title at this point, so they could have that. There are also standards for brightness that, and I can't recall that off the top of my head, but that's in the city code, and that would be required as well. One of the problems you see on lighting at night, particularly with the modern LED signs, is the level of white light. Okay, there's the blues, reds, greens, all the different colors. It's usually the white that's the problem. So when you're driving, it hits you in the face. These modern LED signs have controls where you can back down a particular color. And I see this every year, and I won't name the property, but I see it every year and I have to call them every year when the time changes because it's bright when you're trying to drive, and it's just a matter of turning down the white. It happened out at the mall when they got their big sign several years ago. You go out there at night, and it's 50 feet or whatever the height was on that sign, and it was blinding people. We're getting all kinds of complaints. We called the mall. They turned the white down. Everything's kosher. So we are aware of that, but I appreciate you bringing it up in this forum so we could let you know.
It's the only thing I can see that I could object to.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your input.
That hasn't already been trammeled.
Anyone else wants to speak on this? Are you John? Yes. Please come forward, sir, and identify yourself.
Yeah, okay. I'm John Apostolic, 32200 Summer Tree Circle in Pembroke.
Thank you, sir.
And some of the questions that I want to ask Leesburg, Ryan and Michael have been gracious enough to talk to me a little bit and give me some information, but I'd like to put the similar questions to Leesburg, if you don't mind. One of my concerns, and I won't go into it deeply, is the traffic and the noise that may be caused. But the other thing when I look at the plot, it looks like you've got 2 entrances and exits, but nothing in the rear. And I'm wondering, wouldn't it be prudent to have some type of entrance in the rear or the side? What I'm having trouble with gauging in my mind is the separation between the dwellings and the business aspect, the business part of this. You know.
You planning on living in there, sir?
Maybe in due time, I don't know, but not immediately, no.
I don't remember. So.
I can appreciate that.
But, you know, I don't know. The other concern that I have is my understanding, and I'm not at all knowledgeable about this stuff, but the city annexes this part that's in the unincorporated part of Leesburg. I'm scratching my head to understand how law enforcement and emergency services would access this. You know, we're several miles west of Leesburg Center and a few hundred yards from the Sumter County line, and I'm just wondering how law enforcement, particularly law enforcement, but emergency services that handle urgent matters at this location, how they would get there if there was an ultra fast need to get there. Right. So that's another concern.
Well, this information is sent to the different departments.
Okay.
And they have an opportunity to, you know, if they think it's a bad idea, they'll speak up and
okay.
let
You mean
them
the
know.
information from this meeting? Okay.
Right. Well, prior to it.
Before, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, their comments are probably in there now. So.
They are.
The other thing is just the environment for living. This doesn't directly affect me, but I'm looking at the plan, and I still have a hard time grasping the 280 units within the same. I assume there's going to be a fence around this. I'm having a hard time just understanding, like for children, for instance. If I know when I was 8, 9, 10, I had a bicycle. I was all over the place. How's the separation going to be from the homes to the to the medical and the retail area? You know, I mean, school buses going to pick up out front, or are they going to drive in? So these are all things that I'm concerned about, and I appreciate letting me talk.
Sure.
The last thing, and I don't know whether this came up this way, but I'm going to mention it, and I hope you don't mind. The project described as a mixed use, and I know it's been brought up, with homes, healthcare facilities, and retail shops. And I'm concerned that if something changes with whatever, Hester or whatever, you know, what gets approved, if it gets approved, I'm concerned that there could be a change in that, and I'm just wondering, does that come back to approval for Leesburg, and also comments from the people that live nearby within 200 feet? So
yes, it does. John or Dan, go
Okay.
ahead and answer John's question.
Okay, sure. And first of all, Mr. Apostolic, I've been out, and I didn't get to call you back, but you did call me. Thank you for bringing up these questions.
Okay.
So I apologize, but I knew that you had called, and we've been out of the office. I don't know if you heard earlier.
Yeah.
So under the mixed use, let me just go in reverse. Under the mixed use, if anything changes, what is happening here today is a recommendation that will go forward to the city commission. If the city commission approves it, then it's annexed into the city, and this plan, although conceptual, is the plan. Mm-hmm. If Mr. Solstice client at any point backs out, that remains. In other words, anyone who purchases it from him, anyone who wants to do if anyone purchases it from him, that's what they get to build. That's what's being sealed up here. Okay. If Mr. Solstice's client backs out, someone else purchases it and wants to do something different, they have to come back through this entire process. A to Z, including the mail outs, including the notifications, the signs, the, what am I missing?
Advertising.
Advertising, thank you. The whole thing starts over. So it's a very, very expensive game, so to speak. Usually they're not going to go to this much trouble unless they're serious. In my 27 or 28 years of doing this, they're not going to go this far without being serious. On the environment for living, as far as school buses, that, and I hate doing this, but I have to because it's the truth, that's a school board decision. I can imagine that what would happen is that the bus would come into and all the way to the south side to pick up the kids. But I can't guarantee it because that is a school board decision.
Yeah, okay. Respect that.
Let's see, under the annexation, which that's a good, I like that question because looking at the map and you see this spot out here of city surrounded by the county, that looks weird. That doesn't make sense, and I fully get what you're saying. In 2011, the state of Florida legislature changed the annexation rules. It used to be you had to be adjacent to an existing, as we've done for a couple hundred years. You had to be literally adjacent to the existing city limits to annex. In 2011, the Florida legislature changed that, and our city attorney can correct me if I get off base here, but changed that to say if a city and a county, in other words, if Leesburg and Lake County have what's called an ISBA, Interlocal Service Boundary Area Agreement. Just if you can remember ISBA, everybody will know what you're talking about. That agreement covers areas that can be annexed, and it also covers the services that you're talking about. So what happens is I don't know if it's every 90 days, every month, but the city and county, if you make a 911 call right now, it goes to the 911 center. There's not a separate one in different places. That 911 call is directed to the nearest ambulance, the nearest sheriff or police, depending on your location. And so at the end of every month or every 90 days, the city and county have a meeting, and if the city had, and I forget what the fee numbers is, but we'll just say if it's $100, it's more, but just say it's $100 for easy math. If the county has 10 calls and the city has 12, then the county owes us $100 so that we're both even at 11. You see what I mean? So it actually, and plus the city, when a property is annexed, police patrol has to go through there at least once a day. So in effect, what it does is technically increases the level of service because a police officer has to be out in that area. If he happens to be out in that area when he gets a call from, say, your neighborhood, there he is. Boom, he's already there. Yeah. But the ISBA, and with the change to the state statutes, which was Chapter 171? Yes. Chapter 171 state statutes is what allows this. What the city of Leesburg anticipates is the property all along 44 all the way out to Sumter County will eventually be annexed. That does not include Pembroke because Pembroke is an existing residential property, and cities cannot annex residential property without a vote of the residents. So Pembroke, if they wanted to come in, would have to vote on it anyway. But the other folks who own property that is not developed or is commercial or industrial or anything else along there, they can put in an application and come in, and that's what happened in this case. So and then on the, let's see, annexation, you had separation of uses. It's hard to see on these screens, but the way this is designed, you do have the two entrances on 27 that roll into one boulevard, and boulevard meaning a wider road with landscaping down the middle. And there'll be sidewalks on the side. So that boulevard rolls down through the assisted living, nursing area down the middle and ends at the residential on the backside. the separation itself, there's green space, and let me grab my pointer. The blue here is retention, okay? And the green here, that's a children's play area, and this side here is a dog park. So you have this large buffer between the residential and the medical rehab areas. Then you have this retention pond area here, and that's likely to be a fountain. I don't know, would have to ask, but based on the size, that's probably a fountain. And so you have parking and that, which separates, and some green space here, which separates the commercial from the medical uses, or the sort of living medical uses. But the top commercial, we would anticipate a lot of that to be doctors, pharmacies. Can't guarantee it, but some retail. So, and then finally, under the traffic and noise, yes, there will be an increase in traffic. It's unlikely based on the way a rehab and nursing center is not going to make a lot of noise, and the commercial of the type permitted here is not going to make a lot of noise. The highway will make more noise, frankly, than what these will.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
That's kind of what I'm concerned about, because right now there's a lot of traffic with things going into the villages.
Yes, sir.
West, out of this county. But, I'm concerned particularly, one example is, it's only a weekend, but Bike Week or whatever. So, I mean.
No, that's a good point.
And if that traffic has to slow down.
That's a good week to leave.
Yeah, I know. You can get on an airplane and go someplace.
Now, in regard to this point here where you're coming out of Pembroke, and one of these entrances those are technically Florida Department of Transportation decisions.
Right.
But it makes sense for it to line up, because that increase in traffic only helps you get a stoplight. Without that, and I'm not saying you'll get one, because the DOT has specific criteria that they go by.
Yeah.
But it certainly helps get a light there if one is eventually put there. And without that, there's not, and I don't mean to sound cold, but there's not enough traffic coming out of Pembroke to do it. Right. And so you do end up, as you were saying, having to go down, turn right, go down, make a U-turn to go to Leesburg or something. You do have to do that. Yeah. If this is built and fills up, and it'll take a few years to do it, that will certainly improve the odds of getting that light. So,
Can I ask you one more question? It's my understanding that for the multifamily dwellings, that there's an estimated 1.5 parking spaces for each unit. I'm thinking that that's low. I mean, I've been there, done that, and one of the worst bugaboos about being in a situation like that is that you go out to dinner, you get home, and, quote, my parking spot is not there, and none of them are there because it's Super Bowl Sunday, and, 3 doors down, they're having a party, and there's 15 people there.
Right.
So, I don't know. I don't know if there would be like a guest parking lot or anything like that possible, but, and again, who am I to say? I'm across the street, but I'm just thinking, if this is nice and smooth and not chaotic, it definitely benefits my community too, So if there's no hitches or whatever, it's definitely a benefit to my community.
Yes.
The good thing it's so deep you won't see the park. The good thing is it's so deep you won't see the parking anyway.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it's too far
but
back.
that's a problem for
Yeah, I understand.
those who may eventually go there.
I was just making it lighter.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Thank you for your questions, John.
and that's one of the negatives of having apartment life if you live in an apartment, because the 1.5 will meet the code requirements. And that doesn't mean they couldn't put more in if they wanted to. So,
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, sir.
I think we've probably discussed this all we need to. I think we've gotten all the information we need. I've learned an awful lot from it. Is there any questions from the commission? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve case number SSCP 22569. Move to approve to be sent to City Commission.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I second.
I got 2 or 3 seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay.
Now the other PUD.
Now, yeah, let's go ahead. Other PUD.
No, I mean,
Let's see. There for it. No,
the other way.
I'm going the wrong way. That's the wrong way, too.
Keep going.
You want me to just make a motion?
Yeah, go ahead. Please.
Mr. Chairman, on PUD 22570, I move to approve and send to the City Commission.
A motion, do I hear a second?
I second it.
Got that too? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. This thing is not doing. Here we go. Fort Knox. New business, number 4, Fort Knox Rogers LLC, Small Scale Comp Plan Amendment, SCP 22572.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the next 2 cases, if we may discuss those together, SSCP 22572, Fort Knox Rogers Small Scale Comp Plan, and PUD 22-573, Fort Knox Rogers Plan Unit Development. This is a proposal for an industrial use requesting a small-scale comp plan and M1 industrial zoning for an 11-acre property generally located west of Haywood Worm Farm Road and north of Rogers Industrial Park Road. The request is to, 1, change the future land use designation from Lake County Industrial to City of Leesburg Industrial, and 2, to change the zoning from Lake County Heavy Industrial to City of Leesburg M1, Lake County HM Heavy Industrial to City of Leesburg M1 Industrial. This is a standard rezoning, so there are no specific conditions as you would see in a PUD. The proposed use is an industrial storage facility, i.e. self-service storage. Christine Rock, Senior Planner with the office, will present the maps and photo exhibits, which include the aerial zoning, future land use, surrounding land use, wetlands, flood zone, CRA maps.
Thank you. All right. Your first map here is your aerial image just showing the general location. So this property is north of Rogers Industrial Park Road and west of Haywood Worm Farm Road. This is showing the current zoning. So as the properties to the south are zoned planned unit development and so all right, and our next map, this is our Lake County zoning map. It is currently zoned industrial, and it is adjacent to the north to agriculture and some Leesburg on the south, as well as some other industrial. The proposed zoning is City of Leesburg Industrial. This is showing the current City of Leesburg future land use. So it is currently in the county, but so to the south, we have industrial future land use, and to the east, we have institutional. So the Lake County future land use, it is currently industrial in the county, and the proposed future land use is industrial as well. It is adjacent to Commission District Number 3. There are no flood zones on this property. There are also no wetlands on this property.
I never seen any property that way anymore.
This is Florida.
And so your surrounding uses, you have agriculture to the north, you have some industrial to the east and west and south, as well as some timber on the south as well. And these are the pictures of where the notification signs were posted. So you're looking north onto the property from Rogers Industrial Park Road, looking east onto Rogers Industrial Park Road, looking south across Rogers Industrial Park Road, looking west onto Rogers Industrial Park Road. And then the last picture we have of the postings was looking across Rogers Industrial Park Road towards the property. That's all I have.
Thank you, Christine. Under the departmental review summary, the project was sent out to all the city departments and Lake County Government and School Board. There were no substantive comments from the departments, and Lake County School Board noted that this project would be exempt from school concurrency review. Per the City of Leesburg notice requirements, the project was sent out to the surrounding property owners, and as you saw, posted and advertised. There were no comments or contacts received on that in response to those. I'd like to go ahead and read the recommendations into the record, please. Under Fort Knox Rogers, Small Scale Comp Plan SSCP 22-572. Planning and Zoning Division recommends approval of the request for the following reasons. One, the process meets the use of the property meets the requirements of Chapter 163.3187 Florida statutes for small-scale comprehensive plan amendments. 2, the proposed request is compatible with the current surrounding future land use designations of City of Leesburg, institutional and industrial. 3, the proposed future land use designation of industrial is compatible with the proposed zoning of City of Leesburg M1 industrial and does not appear to create a detriment to the adjacent Lake County future land use categories of industrial, regional office, and urban medium density. 4, the proposed future land use designation for the site is consistent with the city's growth management plan, future land use element goal 1, objective 1.6. The action requested is vote to approve the staff's recommendation to change the future land use designation of the subject property from Lake County Industrial to City of Leesburg Industrial and forward to the City Commission for consideration. Under the rezoning case number RZ 22-573, the Planning and Zoning Division recommends approval of this request for the following reasons. 1, the proposed request is compatible with the current surrounding zoning districts of Lake County, HM Heavy Industrial, A Agriculture, R6 Urban Residential District, MP, which is Planned Industrial, and City of Leesburg PUD. 2, the proposed request is compatible with the proposed future land use designation of City of Leesburg Industrial and the current surrounding future land use designations of Lake County Industrial, Regional Office, and Urban Medium Density, and City of Leesburg Institutional and Industrial. 3, the proposed request will allow industrial development for the property that is consistent with the ongoing development patterns along the County Road 33 industrial area. And 4, the proposed request does not appear to create a detriment to surrounding properties based on the location and proximity to compatible development. The action requested is vote to approve staff's recommendation to rezone the subject property from Lake County HM, which is heavy industrial, to City of Leesburg M1 industrial and forward to the City Commission for their consideration. Mr. Chairman, staff's recommending approval. Mr. Ryan Solstice is here from LPG of Mount Dora if you need to hear anything from him. Thank you, sir.
I'll be willing to entertain
I'm going to have to put a timer on you.
We can do that. I'd be happy to take one.
You've worn it out, haven't you, buddy?
I've got a quick question for you.
Absolutely.
It's already in the county zone industrial, and they want to come into the city?
Correct, for utilities.
For utilities, okay, that's what I was going to ask you, the reasons for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a lateral move.
Yep.
Any questions? If I hear none, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, somebody else do it this time.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, after you.
You can do the second one.
Mr. Chairman, I move that regarding SSCP 22-572 and RZ 22-573, we move to approve.
Well, we need a
You can't
separate.
do them individually.
Yeah, we'll have to do separate
I'm sorry.
motions.
We have to do a separate motion,
Do what?
one at a time.
One at a time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then SSCP 22-572, move to approve.
On the comp plan. We have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? I hear a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Regarding RZ 22-573, motion to approve.
on the rezoning. I have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
A second.
I got a second from Commissioner
Discussion.
O'Kelly. Any discussion?
No, I'm just kidding.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Sorry.
Okay. We still got a little more business to take care of. Every year in January, we appoint a chairman and a vice chairman. I've been in this chair for quite a while now, and I've appreciated the opportunity to serve the P&Z Commission as chairman. But I'm going to pass the gavel this year, and I'm going to nominate Tim Sennett as our next chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is there anybody else that wants to nominate anyone else? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor of Tim Sennett being our next chairman, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. John almost broke his arm over there. So congratulations, Tim, or condolences.
That's the plan.
When does this take place? Next meeting?
Next meeting. The next meeting.
If I
Will
may,
you still be
Mr.
with us?
We still have to appoint a vice chairman.
I was going to say.
So I'll entertain a motion for anybody who wants to nominate a vice chairman.
I like to nominate you as my backup.
Thought I'd get rid of it. I'll accept. I'll be your backup.
Okay, well, I'm just going to nominate Nathaniel here, but if you...
Well, you can nominate more than one.
You can nominate how many.
I just wasn't sure you were going to stay on the commission.
No, I'm not going anywhere. I just passing the
shoot.
gavel.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
I have to live next door to this guy.
I've known him since he's 13 years old, so if I give him a lot of stuff, it's all every day.
And he means it.
I've been nominated as vice chairman, chairman of vice. I'd have to get my wife's permission on that, but I'll accept that if y'all are in favor of it. Who wants to vote for that? All in favor of me being your vice chairman, signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment unless you have something, Dan.
You taking the timer off? Could we, since Mr. Bowersox has been chairman for a number of years, would Diane and I, or could we take a picture?
Yeah,
Sure, I'd love to have one.
Would that be okay? We'll take a couple of them.
Yes, sir.
I don't think we need this. Guess I better sit up. I'll sit up.
Take my glasses.
Wait a minute.
You okay there?
You're part of this.
Come on, Grant.
You're captain of this team anyway, so what the heck? You got to get here too, Dan.
She needs to get back in here too. She's up there every day. Come on.
All the girls.
I want the whole staff in here.
Yeah, I think the rest of the staff needs to be behind.
Let Ryan take the picture.
Yeah, let Ryan take the picture and the staff get behind us.
Yeah, we want the whole crowd, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we could get the new city commissioner could take the picture. Why don't y'all get over here?
Just stand wherever you want to. That's fine.
Slide in tight.
No, what you in here?
Yeah, General Fowler will be here.
We don't buy it hard.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
Let the laptop get your way.
That's a good idea.
2, 3. There we go. Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
And you can send one of those to every one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, the fact that you all allowed that to happen just speaks to the fact that this group has worked together quite a few years and made a lot of hard decisions, and has the respect of this staff, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well,
For all you've done.
Dan, it's
We
been
appreciate
wonderful
it.
working for you, working with you and Bill before that. And, it has been some hard times. It's not easy. And the new city commissioner we have sitting back here, he knows what it's like now. Because what they see, we've already gone through.
Tonight was easy.
This was an easy night.
Yeah.
This was an easy night. And, the $25 we get for it is
We're overpaid.
we're overpaid, To take that into consideration too, as you would. All right.
I want to thank everybody also for their confidence of allowing me to sit in the chair next time. So,
well,
just to let you know, I did it for 11 or 12 years before.
Yeah,
I was here a long time ago.
Yeah, he was here, then he.
I moved out of town when I got married up by the villages, so I couldn't serve. And then as soon as I moved back to town, I got back on.
all right, guys. Meeting adjourned.
All right.